Hello?
Hey Jared, this is Jake. How you doing, man?
Good, Jake. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. All right. So let's just start at the beginning. Did you always want to be an artist? What were your other ambitions as a kid growing up?
Yeah, I pretty much was always drawing since a very young age. I have an older brother, about 2 years older, and he would draw a lot, and I would want to draw like him. So I think it started there. But as far as professions going into it, it happened much later on, probably in high school, when I decided that I would actually pursue a career in art. Before that, I thought I might go into either advertising or a teacher or something more practical. It was kind of scary to think of going into art as a profession.
Awesome. So I mean, you originally just came in thinking I just want to teach it and uh, maybe kind of take the safer route. But now that you kind of explored everything, you wanted to kind of make a name for yourself, which I mean you very much have with Hipster Mickey and all of the awesome Disney and movie art that you've done.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was. It's one thing to think of yourself as an artist. It's another to think of it as your profession, especially growing up and at the time, it was before the internet and stuff, really. So you weren't as exposed to so many different types of art that were out there. So
Yeah.
for most of the stuff that I'm doing now, I wasn't even aware that that existed as a career. So I think with the advent of the internet and just like social networking and things like that, you're able to see a lot more than you were back when I was thinking about a career.
Yeah. So I mean, back when you were thinking of it as a career, what kind of art did you have a mindset for compared to now?
Um, well, I think like fan art, doing stuff based on characters or existing properties was something I've always done since I was little. But I never thought of that as something that I would pursue professionally. So for a while, I wanted to be an animator. I think a lot of people go through that phase where they're sort of enchanted by Disney and what's happening there, and you think, well, I'm going to be an animator. But I did take some animation courses in college, and that pretty much cured me of wanting to be an animator anymore. So, um, but other than that, my style is kind of geared towards kids, sort of juvenile stuff. So when I first started working, I was working in the children's educational software field,
Okay.
and that seemed like a good fit because it was, graphics for a computer program for educational stuff, and it just seemed like a really good fit.
Well, cool. What got you started with the computer graphics? Just kind of wanting to get into more of the computer side of it once everything hit the internet, and just want to kind of blend your art with helping kids out, or how did that become a profession?
I took one class for Illustrator in college, and that was about the only digital class that I had to take. And from that, I learned Illustrator a little bit, and I didn't like it very much. I thought it was a pretty constricting program, but I had to do an internship where we had to create clip art, and it had to be done vector. So it forced me to really get comfortable with the tool and the software, and then eventually I began to love it. So it's pretty much been the only program that I've worked with since then.
So even to this day, with all of your art, including all of your pop art like Hipster Mickey, you still use Vector as your primary.
Yep, everything that you see, pretty much, I'd say 99% of the work I do is all done in Illustrator.
Very cool. Very cool. And how did you come up with your own style of art? I mean, it's a very simple but classic design to it. I mean, when you brought up being more of a kid style, the first thing that came to my mind was it almost has kind of a new age Mary Blair style to it.
Well, she's definitely one of my favorite artists and influence. The style that I was working at when I first started working for educational software companies was quite different. It wasn't as stylized. It was much more traditional, like like a workbook you'd see for kids or like a coloring book style.
Okay,
Something closer to like Saturday morning cartoons kind of thing. I think.
got it.
So this newer style that I've been doing, the kawaii style, the cute style, is sort of based on like the Hello Kitty approach to artwork and
Yeah.
design, I think. So it kind of stems from that. So I think it's kind of a mix between that Japanese aesthetic and like what you see with Mary Blair and some of that stuff in the mid-century design.
Well, and kind of getting off topic, but outside of the art that you're known for, what do you enjoy doing with your time and outside of the art world that everyone knows you for?
Oh gosh, it just seems like lately that's all it's been is pretty much the artwork. The working freelance keeps you busy kind of around the clock, and you just sort of take jobs as they come up. So it doesn't set you up for a traditional work week. So I mean, I'm working a lot during the weekends and things like that. But other than that, I mean, it's trying to see other people's art, so going to shows or museums and things like that, and I guess like going to Disneyland,
Yeah.
things like that. So I try to do as much stuff as I can that it sort of inspires my work.
Yeah, and hey, Disneyland's definitely the best spot to go to.
Absolutely.
I mean, even just seeing your schedule when you tweet about it, you're, oh hey, I'm down here for D23, but oh, I'm coming back this next weekend for a signing, and I mean, you're definitely a very busy man.
Yeah, exactly. It's been the past maybe 2 years or so has really kicked into sort of high gear, and I've been doing a lot more traveling on top of just doing, trying to keep up with the freelance work. So, but it's been fun. It's all been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I mean, with the signing at Wonderground and doing so much with Disney as a freelance artist, how did that actually come about for you? Did they contact you? Did you just send them some sample art, or what happened there?
They contacted me first, actually. So this was back, gosh, I think the end of 2011. So this was before the gallery even existed yet. It was still just a concept. So I had no idea that they were even working on this. So I never submitted work or anything like that. They were pretty active in looking online and seeing the different types of Disney fan art and stuff that's out there, as well as just artists whose style that they liked. And so from that, I just received a phone call one day asking me if I'd like to participate in this new gallery. So of course I said yes.
Well, very awesome. And actually, that's one of the questions that I sent you before we did this. And I would love your opinion on it. But in the day and age, anyone can be considered a photographer or an artist and get that immediate gratification because of the internet. And I mean, you were around before the internet, obviously, and now you're very much well known in the fan community for Disney. But as a professional artist, what are your thoughts on the fan art versus the paid art, such as yours? And I mean, what do you think differs between the two? And do you think companies like Disney should reach out and use more fan art? Or how do you think that should be gone about?
Well, I think the lines are becoming blurred more between the distinction of fan art and regular art or design and merchandise and things like that. There seems to be everything everywhere. And certainly with the internet, you can see everything. You have the chance to view so many different artists and things like that. So it makes it hard sometimes to stand out, but it is a great opportunity that you can show your work to just about anybody and everybody. So I think there are, definitely advantages and disadvantages to that, but mostly positive, I think, ultimately.
Yeah.
As far as Disney reaching out for more fan art, I think Wonderground is certainly a step in the right direction. Just the fact that they're sort of loosening the grip on the how their characters are represented and shown, I think, is a big step forward, and hopefully they'll continue to go in that direction in some venues, and we'll see more fun things done with these characters. They have so many properties, and now with the adding of like Star Wars and Marvel and things like that, I think it's going to be hard for them to sort of not acknowledge that art fan base. So I'm sure we're going to be seeing more of it. It's just a matter of how they're going to do it, I think, is sort of the question.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I mean, I'm starting to become more of an avid art fan, and you're actually one of the first people that I started to really look into with the fan art, and then I found a couple other people, and I'm just now getting my foot in the water with it as well. And I mean, I can't draw or design worth anything, but I mean, I definitely admire a lot of the fan art, and I think that it's definitely very awesome that your style of artwork and so many other fan arts that have become what fans are now looking up to are starting to be recognized by Disney and definitely being, like you said, loosened, and the properties kind of changing and developing with different fan styles is definitely going to be really cool to see, especially like you said with Marvel and Star Wars coming in. It's going to be really awesome to see what happens with all of these properties and how they come out. So I mean, it's at this point, it's just going to be the sky's the limit, right?
I think so. I mean, again, I think it's going to exist whether these companies sort of embrace it or not. I think it just, it behooves them to embrace it. I think it only helps the brand, and it's all comes from a good place. Like, we love these characters, we love these movies and stuff, and that's what generates this art. And so it seems like it would be a shame to not sort of to use that for their advantage, and sort of showcase it in some ways. But I think, like Wonderground, I really do think like it's a great step in that direction, and how they can expand that will be, we'll have to see.
Yeah, it's going to be really awesome to see. And actually, as a college student now, what are some of your best past memories of college, and what advice would you give to us kids today going through some of the same stuff that you did?
Well, first off, I've said this before. I was a terrible college student. It was such a, you're at that age where you're so busy doing everything but school, and to balance both, I found really difficult. And so I didn't pay a whole lot of attention in college. I didn't take advantage of that time to really learn new stuff and sort of push my abilities and stuff. So I would say, as much as you can, stay focused and really take advantage of that time. When you're in college, you tend to think you have your whole life ahead of you, which you do, but you get extremely busy and you don't have that time to sort of really engage in learning about art and your abilities and other people's art and art history and things like that. So it's like, if you can take advantage of that time and really get into it, it's only going to help you along the lines. For me, seems like things started much later, so I became much more inspired later on after college and things like that, and I sort of regret not having that time now. So I think doing that and sort of showing your work, taking advantage of the internet and being able to show your work to a huge audience and get feedback, I think you have to do that. You have to take advantage of that and get your work out there as much as you can.
Yeah, definitely a lot of networking, and a lot of just, at this point with the internet, and especially with our college age, I guess the best way to say it is just push yourself to the farthest limit with what you love, right?
Absolutely. And I think, when I was going to school, this kind of artwork that I'm doing now, it was sort of frowned upon. Like, they wanted you to be a more serious artist. And this was during the 90s, so illustration in general tended to be pretty dark. And so everything was kind of moving in that direction. So the stuff that I was doing that was a little more juvenile, a little more colorful and things like that, they were kind of like, well, maybe you should look at some of these other things. But once I got back to doing what I love to do, I think that's really when my work started taking off, and it shows. So I think if you can be sincere about what you're doing, it's going to go a long way.
And actually, kind of going off script for a second,
Sure.
I've always wondered this with art. Art is so customary to whoever likes it. What exactly is that right or wrong, and where exactly is it right or wrong? Because it speaks to so many people, and it speaks less to the same amount of people. I mean, how is there a differentiation between what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong?
Well, I don't know. That's like a very art school kind of question too.
Yeah.
It's because to me, I think it doesn't matter, right? If you do what you do, and people either respond to it or they don't, and I think that's basically all it comes down to. I mean, then you start getting into the division of sort of careers and, are you getting paid to do this, and all these different distinctions. But I think ultimately, on sort of a top level of art, it really doesn't matter. Like, I don't think there should be any rules or, classifications of everything. It just kind of comes down to doing something sincere and seeing if the public responds to it.
Yeah.
Then I think it doesn't matter what it is or what its job is or anything like that. I mean, there will always be people who will be critical of what you do, but I think that's no matter what you do, you're going to get people who love what you do and people that hate what you do. So, that's, I think, just the nature of art in general.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm pretty sure Michelangelo got some heat for everything he painted. So, I mean, everybody, you win some, you lose some.
Absolutely. I mean, and we're looking at, what I'm doing is pretty sort of commercial. Like, I am under no pretense that what I'm doing is fine art or something like that. I definitely want people to respond to my work, to appreciate my work, and to eventually buy my work. So that might be a distinction between fine art, say, and regular art. But there's the lines are becoming so blurred nowadays that I think it's eventually just not going to matter.
Yeah. Well, getting outside of the artsy questions and a little bit of the background of who you are, let's get into some fun stuff.
Sure.
What was your favorite Disney movie as a kid?
Oh, this is always a tough question. I saw The Rescuers at the perfect time. I think it was the perfect age, and so that one stuck with me. I think everybody. It just sort of depends on the age that you see these movies at, and it becomes your favorite movie as a kid.
Yeah.
So I look back and I don't think it's like the best of the Disney films, but growing up, that was definitely my favorite Disney film, and that I think that came out the same year as Star Wars, which is kind of an amazing year for.
Oh yeah,
for
definitely. Well, I mean, okay, now transferring into being an adult, what's your favorite Disney movie? Let's say the last 5 years.
Oh, the last 5 years? Gee, let's see. So we're saying this is a Disney movie, not a Pixar film, right? We're making that distinction.
Yeah, we can make that distinction.
Okay. Probably Tangled. I think Tangled for me was such a return to like a very Disney type of storytelling, even though it was done in a digital animated film. I think it felt to me the most like the films that I love from Disney. Specifically, it felt like I think like a Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast and those types of films, more so than say like Snow White or Cinderella even. But
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. I thought they mixed in the music well and really great characters and stuff like that. So that probably in the last 5 years, that's been my favorite.
And I mean, any Disney film that brings in pantomime characters like Max and Pascal, you can't ever go wrong with that kind of humor.
Right. Yeah, that is very classic.
I mean,
even the design of them is just kind of classic Disney.
Oh,
characters.
Totally. And
Yeah.
I mean, even to this day, I've seen Tangle. I've got a 6-year-old sister. I mean, I've seen it probably dozens of times, but every single time, anything Pascal does is absolutely humorous. It's one of those timeless styles of films that you can't ever get sick of.
Yeah, I think they did such a great job with that. I was a little wary going into it, but I was pleasantly surprised, I think.
Yeah. Let's see. Going into Disneyland, because we're both huge Disney fans, and I know you love Disney just as much as the next geek. But what's your favorite Disneyland attraction?
Let me think. That's a tough one. I always like It's a Small World just because of the design sense of it, and it's so Mary Blair, and it's like this 3D version of a Mary Blair illustration. So that one, as a kid too, was my favorite. So I think ultimately that's probably one of my favorite attractions there. Other than that, maybe like Peter Pan. I think Peter Pan sort of it represents everything great about Disneyland.
Oh, totally. And let's see, and I'm starting out with all of these interviews. I mean, with Disney Park Secrets, as a quick background, me and my buddy Austin, this is more of an experiment website to see how statistics and social networking works out, and we wanted to reach out to people that the fan community in Disney knows and see how interviews work with the website and how people are going to respond to this. So one question, and I mean, I'm going to ask everybody this from here on, but if you could take any 2 Disney snacks and blend them into one, what would you do? I mean, it could be as gross as making a turkey leg Dole Whip or something. That's probably the grossest thing I could think of, but or something as smooth as a churro flavored vignette. Right.
That's pretty crazy. I love this question, but it's a tough one because these it seems recently too that these snacks have become sort of like a star for the park, whereas before you didn't hear about it so much. But I'm definitely of the cult of Dole Whip, so I think it would have to be something with Dole Whip. Maybe Dole Whip and the funnel cake that they do. I don't know that they still do the funnel cake or not, but maybe something like that, because you would hate to ruin the taste of either one by just combining them.
Yeah.
But so it'd probably be something with Dole Whip and and either that, the beignets, or the funnel cake, probably.
Good choice. Very good choice. And kind of as a closing question, though, is there any chance of Wonderground and the Disney online store to sell more of your Disney prints outside of Hipster Mickey? Is there anything in the works with that, or is it just going to be sticking to that one print for now?
Well, for the Disney store, this was the first thing that Wonderground has done outside of the actual gallery. Everything has been only available through the gallery. So, uh, as far as I know, we're starting with the hipster Mickey stuff. As far as my work goes, I really don't know anything beyond that. I don't know if they're going to just sort of test and see how this does online as opposed to just in the gallery. So I'm really hoping that they expand it because there have been so many people who aren't close to Disneyland that have wanted a lot of this artwork, not just my own, but so many of the pieces that are there that I hope that they're able to make some of this at least widely available. I understand that they'd want to keep the gallery special and that it's something you want to visit when you come to the park. But for some of this artwork, it's a shame that more people can't get their hands on it. So I'm hoping they find a nice balance there.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, you can definitely count on the fact that I'm getting a hipster Mickey print for my apartment as we speak.
Oh, good to hear.
So I'll be paying those bills for you, bud.
Awesome.
So, all right. Well, thank you, Jared, very much for your time. I greatly appreciate it, and thank you for being the first victim, I guess, for Disney Park Secrets to see how this test works out for me and my buddy Austin. I greatly appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. No, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
That was Jared Maruyama, first interviewee on Disney Park Secrets. If you're interested in checking out his work, click the link below to his site. Also, we would appreciate any feedback we can get, so like, comment, or give us suggestions on who you'd like for us to try and interview. This is Jake with Disney Park Secrets. Thank you for listening.